Welcome, everyone, to the Extraordinary Coaches podcast. Today, I'm here with Koen. We met through Instagram, actually. He's very big on fitness. He's got this YouTube channel with a lot of videos about semen retention, which is highly interesting, about not drinking alcohol. Those are the ones that I know from you. How would you introduce yourself to people?
I would introduce myself. So I guess maybe start with a little backstory. Today, how I've come here. So to summarize everything, I would say my real journey started probably 5 years ago. I struggled with a lot of anxiety. I was very insecure and I had no purpose. I just felt like shit every single day. And basically a lot of problems the majority of men face these days. I faced them as well. And it wasn't great. It just wasn't a good time. So, I obviously currently I mainly talk about semen retention now on my YouTube channel, because I would say that's the driving force for me. That was the main thing that has pushed me through all my current insecurities, problems, fears. I think it just allowed me to go from someone that is more passive in life to be like, I'm just going to take action and I'm just going to pursue what I want and just push forward in life. So that's what I'm truly passionate about, semen retention now. So over the past 5 years, I've just that's where I decided I really want to continue to push it, because I realized, shit, if I'm not doing anything and I'm kind of staying passive, nothing's going to change. I'm just going to stay insecure. Nothing's really going to happen. And I looked around and was like, if I do what everyone else is doing, because I realized the majority of people aren't that happy. I just thought, I'm going to end up not happy as well. So I really need to take a different route and not do what everyone else is doing, because I'll end up unhappy and I don't want that. So from there on, I kind of pursued my own route. Wasn't easy, of course, and the journey continues to go, but it's pretty cool where I ended up now.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Just 5 years ago, how old were you?
19.
What were you doing? You were studying or?
No, I was traveling in Australia. So I quit school,
But that's not really what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I quit school at 18, and I never liked school. I never saw the point of going to school. I absolutely hated the fact that someone could tell me when I could take my break, when I had to be at school for. It felt like a true prison to me. Yeah. So at 18, I quit, and I remember seeing this video of, it's called a YouTube channel. It's called High on Life.
Okay, I think I've heard of that.
It's got a video of what you can do in 365 days. And they just showed all these cool travel videos and jumping off cliffs. And I was, at the time, 17. And I remember watching that video and I just teared up. I started tearing up. I was like, what am I doing? This is what I want to do. So I started doing research. How can I live abroad? And the first thing that popped up is you can travel in Australia. You can move there, travel, and work there in Australia. So I told my parents, hey, listen, I want to quit school and this is what I want to do. And they were cool enough to say, well, hell yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
Free to do what you want. So
that's pretty cool that your parents were so open to that.
Yeah, for sure. Or else I probably would have doubted that decision a lot more. But it was the best decision of my life. Because after 2 years, those 2 years of traveling Australia, at 18, right? I just grew up in this tiny, small village. I hadn't seen anything yet. And then you get dropped into Sydney, a huge city, and I could do whatever the hell I wanted. So from school in this little tiny town to a world capital city where I could do anything. I had a bunch of money saved up, a whole new world opened up for me. So that was really my push towards, pushing even further.
Yeah, you tasted that little bit of freedom and then you had to have more.
Once you've tasted that freedom, right, you can never go back.
Yeah. Oh, but I love that.
I'm pretty sure it's similar things.
And then you were in Australia for 2 years, you said?
Yeah, for 2 years, a bit less actually, until I've realized, traveling isn't it anymore. I've done so much traveling now and it became just looking for the next travel high,
Yeah, right. Yeah. I recognize that.
It wasn't thing. At a point I had seen so many nice white beaches and palm trees and all that stuff. It didn't do much for me anymore. So I got this call to action to go home and pursue personal training in Amsterdam. Because I wanted to live in a big city. So I'm going to move to Amsterdam and pursue personal training. because I wanted to feel some purpose again.
Why personal training? Where did that come from?
I just was really into fitness.
Okay, you already were back then.
Yeah, at 16, I got truly obsessed with fitness. So at 15 as well, I was ridiculously shy, ridiculously insecure. And fitness gave me the first framework, the first bit of ground to build upon, to gain some confidence, right? So at 17, I had put on a lot of muscle and I was obsessed with going to the gym, getting really big, started to get attention from girls, right? I started to put it on myself. So it started off right there. And then during traveling Australia, this all got a bit less, I was just focused on traveling. But then at 19, I was like, I really love fitness and I'm going to go back into it. So pursued personal training for a few years. I realized, I don't want to spend my whole life in a gym. I don't feel free here. I'm not really into this. So once again, what do you do when you don't know what you want to do? You go travel.
Yeah.
So I quit everything once again, and I traveled Eastern Europe for about 6 months.
Cool.
Until I finally realized, I want to pursue. I had no idea really, but I want to pursue something like this, like online coaching. I had no idea how to go about it, and I just continued to just do something and fail, and do something again and fail, until I found a coach. It's crucial to invest in the coach, in my opinion, and he just lays the whole road in front of you, right? It made things a lot easier. So I'm still on the journey, but that's kind of how I've landed here now.
Crazy. I love that. But then what got you inspired to take on that role of the coach? Because I understand that you would want to work online, but are you just pursuing coaching because you want to work online, or is there some deeper motivation behind it, or what's that story for you?
It always felt most meaningful to me to pursue coaching. Like I've seen so many online businesses you can start, but I've always gotten a lot of joy out of working with people one-on-one. So also personal training. I just felt a lot of fulfillment through helping someone level up in any aspect of their life. So that has always attracted me, to just work with someone and better their life. So one-on-one, personal, that type of stuff. So
I love that.
That's why.
Where do you want to take this for the coming 5 years?
Man, I have no idea, to be honest. I just wanna continue to help people, man. That's the main thing. Helping other people. That's the most fulfilling thing. Sure, money's gonna come in, whatever, but that's not the main objective. So I would never say I want to reach this amount of money. Sure, it's a nice thing. Those things are nice, but the real meaning and the real fulfillment come from helping someone else, being valuable towards someone else. That is no feeling can beat that. Nothing external, no materialistic stuff can beat that. So I would say that I'm just going to continue to focus on helping as many people as possible.
I love that. I feel like that's a big mission all coaches share. It's very tempting to start to see the other coaches around us as competitors, or people who take away your clients, but in the end, we all share the same mission. In the end, we all want to help people, and that's it. That's what, in my opinion, this is about, to just help others. And I love that you brought that up, and without attachment to whatever that lifestyle brings. I think that's quite interesting.
For sure. Yeah.
And then about the semen retention thing, because I literally haven't ever talked to someone who is that big on it. Please share. How did you get it? Where did that start?
Where did that start? Yeah, I was 19, and for me, the flipping point, it wasn't immediately semen retention. For me, I first got introduced to NoFap.
Yeah.
Because as I told you, back then I was socially anxious. I was very insecure speaking to women. I couldn't speak to women. I would close down completely. It made no sense. It made truly no rational sense in my mind, but it just happened. When I was 14, this started to develop. And even at 19, I still had this feeling within myself. Also,
even after you had the muscle, you still felt the insecurity.
Yes,
from it. Okay.
It got even worse after I put on the muscle. Crazy enough, right? Because I became so attached to these big muscles that I just saw me as muscle or something. It just became. I got more insecure. It brought me nothing because it came from the wrong place.
Wow.
It came from the place of, okay, when I'm finally going to put on this amount of muscle, then I'm going to be good enough.
Yeah.
But
I love
doing
that
it from that place only makes the feeling of not good enough worse. So you're just making the problem worse. But obviously, I had to go through that experience to realize that. So I'm happy I've experienced that, or else I would have never. And then eventually at 19, I realized, okay, how to get confident around women. Right? I would look at that. And the first thing I saw was NoFap. Right? You hop on NoFap, you get all these benefits, and you this.
Yeah.
A woman with NoFap. It wasn't necessarily semen retention yet. But what I did then and there as well, when I was 19, 20 years old, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this stuff. And next to that, I'm never going to watch any of those dirty websites ever again, because I used to do that back in the day. And I realized that did hold me back from like getting rid of this social anxiety. That's something I realized. I looked it up. So I quit it totally. And I hopped on NoFap. And
wait, how did you? I love that you just quit it, but how do you just quit something? Because it's easy to now back afterwards be like, oh, I just quit it. But how does that go? You can't just quit something. Like, what went on inside? How did you experience just quitting it?
Yeah, so I would say it's probably a bit different for everyone. Personally, I'm just very good at cutting something off, like something old, and just moving on by saying, I'm just not going to do this ever again. And I'm going to see myself as a person that doesn't do this anymore. Because I read a lot of like self-image books back in the day on how to change your self-image. I would consciously see myself as, I don't watch those videos. I see myself as someone that doesn't watch those videos, right? So I would rewire my brain to match a new self-image, because I understood in order to really get rid of something old, you need to become someone new. So it's the same as you're very unfit. You've been eating unhealthy your whole life, and you've always been telling yourself, yeah, exercise, that's not for me. I don't like that. I'm not made for that. But now out of nowhere, you want to go exercise, you want to get fit. It's going to be very difficult. And you will see time and time again that after a few months, you're going to be drawn back into your self-image of, I'm not that guy. It just doesn't feel right. That's because you still haven't changed your self-image to match the goal you want to achieve.
Powerful.
So you're always going to be drawn back into that old self. And I've realized that with all those other bad habits as well. It's like, okay, so I would visualize and I would act accordingly on how I want to be. And because of that, it has been easy for me to just cut it straight away, because I've done a lot of practice around this. But I also see for other people, it can be a lot more difficult. And then I would say the way to overcome it is, because you're going to relapse. The majority of people keep on relapsing.
Did you?
No. When it came to pornography, never. But a lot of people do, and in different habits of relapse. But whenever you relapse, the worst thing you can do is then to feel guilty, because the guilt you feel when you relapse is the small self that keeps you stuck. You are giving reality towards that small self, towards that guilty little I, right? And the way I've seen and also help other people overcome this is to tell them to accept that guilt, to just see it for what it is. It's just the feeling of guilt. Accept it, face it, and just accept what that feels like. And paradoxically, it becomes a lot easier then to overcome the habit, because you're no longer giving attention to that small self, that little voice in your mind telling you you're not good enough, that you're guilty. If you're like, oh no, I don't want to feel this, no, you're still giving it all the attention. If you just accept it, it moves right through and it's gone. So it tends to become easier than to get rid of these habits.
Nice. I think that's highly interesting. Thanks for sharing that one. You were left off explaining what happened after you quit for like some weeks. What did you experience?
After I quit, like the dirty websites, you mean, or?
Yeah, the when you did the NoFap.
So what I've realized is that after a few weeks, I did already feel a drastic increase in confidence. That was also the time when I started to pick up fitness again, because around 19 years old, I was traveling and I got out of shape. You know, at a point I was working at a hostel farm and I was drinking every single day. I was smoking weed, I was smoking cigarettes, and just partying and hooking up with everyone, and I felt absolutely pathetic afterwards.
Yeah.
And that was the time as well. That was the tipping point for me, because I remember looking myself in the mirror and I was like, man, you look like shit and you feel like shit. You have to level up. And at that point, I got absolutely obsessed and dedicated to getting in shape, getting rid of my body fat, putting on muscle. And I was dedicated like never before. I had more energy than ever before. I started eating healthy again. My energy went up. But I would say that the first thing that I did was go on NoFap, and that was the groundwork to give me the energy to attack those problems. Because I know if I would continue to do this, I wouldn't have the energy, because you just tend to feel a lot more drained throughout the day when you're constantly releasing your sexual essence, your sexual energy. It just becomes a lot more difficult to get things done. So I realized, and I started to really realize all those benefits. And next to that, it also gave me the confidence and energy to attack my social anxiety problems, right? I would go out there and just get into the situations that would trigger the social anxiety.
Yeah.
And NoFap helped me do that in the beginning.
Do you think it's actually the semen retention that gave you that confidence, or is it the fact that you were capable of just quitting it that gave you the confidence?
Oh, good question, man. I think it's both.
Okay, yeah.
Because at certain points in my journey, I was skeptical. I was really skeptical about, you know what, is this even real? Is it just placebo? Is it even like, maybe it's all mind? But again and again, I saw this very specific line of benefits I continue to experience when I hop on this journey. And at a certain point, I was just so convinced that it's real. Like, there's not that much scientific evidence behind it, but I experienced it again and again and again. So at a certain point, it's like, you know, whether this is placebo or not, it's definitely working for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I really realized.
Yeah. So who cares? I love that about the placebo or not. I have experienced that a lot, especially because my background is spirituality and those things. And at some point you really believe in it. And then again, you're like, I'm not even sure if it's true, but I guess I believe in it. Like, it's my truth. And later on, you realize it literally doesn't matter if it's true or not for everyone. But if it's true for me, then it has that effect. So it's definitely a little mind game right there. I think that's very powerful.
Yeah.
How does this go for women then? Because, well, they don't really release semen.
When it comes to like holding on to their sexual essence.
Yeah. Well, you would suggest them to just not come, or?
Honestly, I haven't done too much research into that, because I mean, I'm not a woman, and I'm at this point specifically very interested in what it does for a man.
Yeah.
I have direct experience. I can't tell you too much about it, to be honest.
Okay.
I've heard things and read things about that women can do the same thing, that if a woman stays celibate, she will also really gain more of that prana, that energy, that in Hinduism they call Shakti energy. So Shakti that starts to awaken.
Okay.
I've heard some videos and things about it, but honestly, I can't tell you too much about that yet.
Okay, no, I was just curious, but okay, I think that's interesting. What then, apart from the confidence and the better focus? No, I'm going to ask you a different question, because you've been doing this for so long, and what I like about this is the fact that for many people, it has been a habit to just do this, and to then suddenly quit a habit that's so easy to fall back upon, especially this one, because it's so private. It's not as like smoking a cigarette, because people will find out, people will see you smoking a cigarette. It's not like eating unhealthy, because people will see it. This is a very private thing. So if you fall back on it, the only person that suffers from it is yourself. So it would be, if your mind's not strong enough, it would be very easy to just tell yourself like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. I can do it again once, or like, what if I do it just once a day, or like just once a week, you know? How have you prevented yourself from not falling in that trap?
Actually, I have many times. It's not that I haven't released in the last 5 years. There were definitely times where I was like I was on this super long streak of like 5 or 6 months. And I remember at some point, I was like, what's the point of this? What the hell? You know, let's try it again. Seriously, I thought that.
Yeah.
And then my mind kind of indeed told me like, yeah, do it again. And I would slowly kind of build this habit back in until I realized, oh my God, I am actually feeling a lot worse than I used to. But I also wanted to experience with short-term streaks, short-term no-fap semen retention cycles, and just long-term streaks. What's the difference? Because I always went into it with the idea of like, I'm not trying to be right. I just want to truly understand if this is something that is real. Does this actually work? So I did, in fact, do like semen retention cycling at some point. So every 2 weeks, I would just release again, right? But like, yeah, I mean, so it was consciously done in a way.
Yeah.
I was never really tempted to really fall back into this deep cycle.
Yeah, right.
But I've done it consciously. Sometimes.
What have you noticed? What works best, long-term or short-term?
I've realized the benefits are going to be different, right? So when you hop on shorter semen retention streaks, and I would say that's that's under 1 month, you get more of the physical and outward benefits. You're going to get increased energy. You're going to, honestly, you're going to feel very socially magnetic, right? You just feel you're like, hey, man, what's up? You're walking with your head up. You're just feeling good, full of energy, full of vitality. You want to, at some point, it's like this energy is so much. It's like, oh, I have to go for a run. I have to do this. I have to do that. You're very busy.
Yeah.
And to just want to move, you have to get rid of this energy. It's amazing. It can truly propel your life forward. If you have a project you're working on, it's a lot easier to be so much more focused. You can work harder. You can put a lot more energy into anything that you're doing. Then what I've noticed is on these longer streaks, it's not necessarily more fun. And I would say the benefits start to change a little bit. I would say that they become a lot more spiritual. So you start to feel a tingling sensation through your body of all this energy, right? All this energy is rising up. You can do some meditation practices. And I get goosebumps many times because I feel all this energy rushing through my body. Yet I would say my overall energy is a bit lower. It's just that the energy has settled down a little bit, but this is always...
So your awareness goes up, or?
Yeah, so I would say that the energy, if you do certain meditations, like it's called the microcosmic orbits, it's where you move through your body, you can literally feel it. And when you rise this up to your higher chakras, which are your spiritual chakras, you just get so much more of a connection to the divine, to a higher being, right? You start to get new answers, new types of realizations about yourself.
What was your biggest realization because of this?
Oh, that's a tough one, but I would just say that you get to experience like ego death, or I went through the dark night of the soul, where all my subconscious emotions and fears from when I was a child, or even when I grew up at some point, I had this social anxiety. It all came up to the surface. And I remember at some point I was crying for 1 week straight every single day, yet there was no specific reason. And at that time I understood, wow, that's just me. Like all this stuff is just being cleansed out of my body. And after that experience, I just felt a complete sense of oneness with everything. I was like in this true state of peace, inner peace, for like 2 weeks straight. Like almost like Bartole in a way, right? He would sit on the bench in true peace. And I experienced that as well, just not permanently, just for a shorter period of time. I quit training, I quit lifting weights, I quit everything. And I was just walking around looking at birds and sitting on the bench. And I didn't want anything else.
Wow. Okay. And you would say that, like, it could be placebo or not, but you would say that that's related to the semen retention that you did?
Yes, because I always notice on these longer streaks, you're building up that sexual energy. And this can also be called your Kundalini energy. Sexual energy is your Kundalini energy. You might have heard of a Kundalini awakening. Yeah. It awakens a lot quicker within yourself. So I tend to just get a lot of these experiences, so many just deep experiences that I cannot even like explain in words sometimes. It's more of an experiential experiment, not experience. Experiments the thing. So
I love that.
Yeah, just things get deep. It's not necessarily fun because your dark side is going to come up.
Yeah.
It's just you start to really gain deeper spiritual insights that if you hop on shorter streaks or you're just, like releasing all the time, if you do, that's fine. But it will stay more in the materialistic world, right?
Yeah.
And when you really start to increase this energy within yourself, you start to understand and see, oh my God, there's so much more to just this physical world and this material world. Like what's going on out here?
Beautiful. You don't need drugs. You should just not fap.
No, just don't fap. No drugs needed.
Funny. Oh, okay. Wow. That's crazy. How do you implement this in your coaching? Or in your personal training, or like this knowledge that you have and of the spiritual, but also doing like experimenting like this with your body and your sexual energy.
So how I help other people with this, or
yeah,
it depends on what the person wants. Like I'm kind of always testing, what are you ready for? Do you even want to hear about this? Because sometimes not everyone wants this information or is even ready for this, and that's fine as well. Maybe if you're at a point where you've always been skinny and you just want to put on some muscle, fine, we're just going to focus on putting on muscle. That's where you are. That's what you currently need. You need to go through that phase. And maybe you've got through all that and you realize, okay, there might be more, and I might implement these types of teaching. So it truly depends on where the person is, right? And wherever you are, that's fine, because I think whatever it is that's in front of you is what you need. If you still think you need to put on a lot of muscle in order to be happy, go do it to realize that's not the case.
Oh, wow. I love that one.
Yet, I would say as well that sure, putting on muscle, it's not going to fulfill you. We're not going to make you feel good enough. But it's still amazing to go through life having some muscle in your body, right? It does make life better.
Yeah.
Like people start to react to you differently. You look at yourself in the mirror like, hell yeah, I'm looking good today. You feel strong. You take care of your body. It's still amazing, but it's not going to give you any deep, lasting fulfillment. You think you will find in that great body, right?
No, but I love that what you're saying right there about the not having the attachment to the other person to really help them. You're like, okay, if this is what you want and you think that that's going to get you there, I'm not going to tell you that that's not the case. Go and experience it for yourself, and then we can talk. We'll talk after. But I'm happy to help you get closer to the realization that this is not it. I remember that I talked to this guy who used to help people make a lot of money, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, sometimes people come to me who think that all of this money is going to save their problems. I'm not going to tell them that it doesn't. I'll help them make a ton of money. Then when they realize that that's not the case, then I'll help them even further. And I really love that approach to it. I think it's a very good way of coaching.
Yeah, it's the best way to learn the lesson, right? To experience it yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone can tell you it's not going to make you happy, but once you realize it's actually not doing it for you, once you've achieved it, then you really start to think, then you really start to get this.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Indeed, they can tell you, they can try and protect you from it, but that will not teach you the lesson. That will only, push it more into the future, because you're going to do it anyway, because you have to learn the lesson in a way. Otherwise you can't comprehend it if someone just tells it to you. It's the same reason why I traveled so much, even though that my mom or anyone in my life would say that it's not, the smartest thing to do, or whatever, it can be dangerous or things like that. And I'm like, I'll figure it out myself. You need to have those experiences so you can talk about it after. I like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
How similar would you say personal training and coaching are?
I mean, in a way, it's pretty much the same though. I mean, personal training it's coaching. It's the same thing, I would say.
What's the difference? Is there a difference? I'll go your perspective. I don't want facts. I want your view on it.
Yeah, no, personal training, fitness wise. Honestly, I think you're still a coach when you're a personal trainer, because a lot of personal training, I mean, I can give you the tactics, right? Just do this bench press, do all of this. But the real struggle for the majority of people is not the tactic. It's doing the freaking thing, and just having someone that has already done it guide you through the process, that has already achieved that goal.
Yeah, I like that. I think I would agree with that.
And I would say the majority, especially personal training, what I've realized, the majority of people that need a personal trainer or that just want to seek out a personal trainer, do it for the accountability aspect. Someone that's on their journey or that's with them on their journey that has already done it, to feel accountable and to just tell them what to do. Okay, continue to do this. That's probably the most valuable thing for the majority of people, honestly.
The accountability is a big part.
Yeah. Very
I recently learned that it's like a term. You can be an accountability coach. There's people who are just accountability coaches that you just check into each week, and then they ask you if you've done what you promised to be done. And if you have, then you'll see each other next week. And if not, there's this thing to it. It's funny. It's becoming a thing, and it's helpful.
Yeah, I believe so. Accountability. It
is one of the reasons that I am going to start with a personal trainer as well. Now that I'm back in the Netherlands, I have time again to get all that stuff going. I recognize the importance in it. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Awesome. What's your goal? You have a specific goal, Mike?
I want to gain muscle too.
Put on muscle.
I want to experience what it's like, because I don't know. I don't know what it's like to have. Now I'm not going to go for your body, but something that's closer to that. The just being more muscular. Want to know if I like it? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. We'll see.
It's probably an awesome investment. No one has ever regretted putting on muscle.
I'm not going to regret a 6-pack. Eh?
No, I don't regret doing that.
Yeah, no. I like that. I think it's because then I asked you the question, how similar you feel like coaching and personal training are. How similar do you think personal training and therapy are?
Ooh. Yeah, therapy can be a lot deeper, obviously.
Yeah, although you obviously know Andrew Tate, and I remember one of the things that he said was, if you're actually feeling depressed in life or you want to kill yourself, get a 6-pack first. And once you have the 6-pack, you won't want to kill yourself anymore. Would you agree with that?
Not at all.
No?
I don't think that's great advice. Like, it's not going to do it. Having a 6-pack, and then what? You have a 6-pack, and then what?
No, but it's the thing of going consistently to the gym and having an actual goal to strive towards.
Yeah. If you see it from that perspective, it's a good start, though. Probably, it won't fix the deep issue, but it's probably going to be a whole lot better than sitting down at home and not doing anything. Like, yeah, honestly, yeah, if you're at a point where you're literally not doing anything and you're deeply depressed, you're not even able to go out the house. If you're able to go to the gym a few days a week or just sit at home and you're doing like 3 ab workouts a week, that's amazing progress for sure. So, well, maybe he's right in that one. That once you've got the 6-pack, you build up momentum to continue to build your life up.
I mean, I definitely agree with your initial answer too. I think there's 2 sides of it. Depends on how you defend his argument. But yeah, definitely, it's not gonna do it, because and then what? But maybe there's that part of you that knows, like, okay, I can achieve this. I'm ready for anything. Like, if you can have that accountability with just yourself, just like with the cutout on releasing your sexual energy. If you can prove to yourself that you can do that, there's a lot of confidence in that, I feel.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned somewhere in the beginning that you started with a coach yourself. What was that like? Why did you do that?
Actually, my first coach was like 2 years ago. Since when I tried to do some online coaching as well, just mainly fitness. I had some success, but the main reason I realized I needed a coach is because I couldn't do it myself. I did not have the knowledge. I did not understand anything about this whole thing, yet I still wanted to do it. So I just realized I can't do this by myself. It's just, for me, I truly need someone that has gone through the journey and that can guide me through this journey. And I just, again, think that's the most powerful thing. And I know I'm going to have coaches and mentors for the rest of my life. It's so powerful. It's truly unbelievable. It can 10 times your personal development. It's insane. And I would say the main value about a coach as well is that a lot of time, the thing they have achieved that you want seems to be so effortless for them. So I'm currently working with a coach and he's making this much money or something. And he's just like, just sell for this much, as if it's the most normal thing in the world. And my mind is not that far yet. right? It's used to a smaller paradigm when it maybe comes down to money. So he's able to expand that and just show me that it is very normal.
Yeah.
Because my current environment isn't currently reflecting that yet, because that's just not the norm here, right? So it's a great way to just expand your whole mind, really.
Yeah, I love that. There's a coach out there that explained it through Zoom as well, and he was like, your reality, the way that you see it right now, is like these boxes that we're in. You know, if I stretch my arm out here, you can't see anymore on the screen. Yeah, it's still there. So what we do in coaching is that we make people aware of the box that they're in, and just expand it that little bit so that they can just see the outside of their arm still. And I just love that, because that is what coaching is about. It's just someone who shows you that there's more possible than the boundaries that you've put on your reality. And especially with personal training, what I love about that is that usually a personal trainer is better looking physically when it comes to muscle than me. And that's just the extra motivation that is like, oh, it can be had. It can be done. Like, he has it. If I look in this whole gym, everyone has it. It's just waiting for me. It's possible. It's just that I haven't comprehended it for myself yet.
Yeah, that's so powerful. So true.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you use visualizations for your training as well? Like, because I've heard that some people use their mental capacity to gain more muscle or work on it that way. Have you ever experimented with that?
I've never done that. And if I'm going to be honest with you, never struggled mentally as well with being fit and putting on muscle, because I think it has been this is the only thing, or the easiest thing in my life so far. It's to stay fit and put on muscle, because when I was young, when I was like 13, 14, 15, everyone already told me, oh, you're so athletic. And I always ate healthy, and I was the weird guy eating healthy. I was always eating broccoli. It's just the way I've been brought up, and I was always naturally a bit more athletic. So when I was very young, I took on that self-image of, oh, I'm the fit guy. So actually, there was never any resistance when it came down to putting on muscle, because when I wanted to put on muscle, it was like, oh, hell yeah, oh, easy, let's do it. And
you're already the fit guy, so.
Yeah, so it was very easy. Now I wanted to go into business. Ooh, that was a different story. There was a lot more resistance there. My mind didn't go there, because when I was younger, I didn't do too well in school. I was never kind of the smart guy, so I was quite average. I always thought I was too dumb, right? And my parents thought I was too dumb, right? So obviously a lot of shit is down there. So how are you gonna do anything like this in the business world or anything, right? That's what my mind kept saying. So that was a whole different story. And then I found the interesting thing that some people find that area of life super easy. It's effortless for them. Yeah. Yet health is very difficult. And in the beginning, I couldn't imagine that. I never, when I was younger, I could never understand how anyone would have any trouble being fit and putting on muscle, because it was always so effortless for me, until I realized, wow, actually a lot of people struggle with this. And then I was also amazed by the people that did things I found very difficult effortlessly. So I think we all have this natural area in life that's very easy for us. Maybe for some other people's relationships, right? I think we have relationships, health, and wealth. Those three pillars in life. And each pillar is going to be harder or easier for every person, right? It's all going to be different. So naturally, for me, health, super easy, super effortless. Never even thought about it. I just was obsessed with it, interested. There was never any mental resistance of, oh, you're going to put on muscle? What's that? No, I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Anyway, when I wanted to start a business, oh man, the voice in my head, who are you to do that? Who are you? You can't do that. There was so much resistance, feeling small, everything. Right? So I just found that quite interesting, an interesting discovery. And I realized this through these coaches, because what they've done, it all seems so effortless for them a lot of times. It's like, how do they do that? So that's why it's so good to have someone next to you.
I love that. I love what you're saying about that effortlessness. Yeah.
There's no resistance. It's as if you're not fighting against the wall. And that's just in your mind, though. That's the crazy thing. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I like that. I want to let this one sink in a bit, because I do believe that what I'm asking myself right now is whether it's talent that you're describing, or whether talent is just an area that is effortless for you. Like, as in, is it that these people are super good at it, or is it that these people are just not super bad at it? As in, there's no I feel like for certain things in life, I have this little limiting beliefs over them. They're sort of covered. They're more effortful if I want to go into the area. And there's certain areas that are less covered with limiting beliefs and reasons why I shouldn't be doing it. And then, are those areas my talents, or are those areas more just the parts that aren't covered with limiting beliefs? I'm curious about that. I like to philosophize about that.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that one. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it can be both though. Be both. It's like, example, I wasn't naturally, maybe a little bit, but overall I wasn't naturally gifted that I could put on muscle easily. That wasn't the case. But I just did the work required to put on the muscle because there was no mental resistance.
Yeah.
Yet maybe for someone else, if you have both, you have talent and none of that, obviously you're gonna make it very far.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and everyone is as good as you were. It's just that they have more mental resistance to it.
Yeah.
I love that, because that would, and I actually believe that. And maybe this neglects the whole definition of talent itself, but maybe there is no talent. There's just less mental resistance. Maybe I could be this amazing singer, but I have so much mental resistance to doing that's preventing me from it.
Definitely. Definitely.
Interesting insight. Interesting thought.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I also probably think talent is a thing, right? Some people are just more genetically gifted to put on muscle very quickly. Some just have a better voice. Some have a better brain.
Yeah.
They have more capacity to think. They can go through more information. Yeah. But if you have the combination, right? You have the talent and you have the non-resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. This is the first podcast that you've been in, right?
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to talk about? Is there anything that you like to bring up, or like, I want to throw that in?
Oh man, we can go anywhere. Ready to go deep?
Sure.
We can talk about like more of the. So we've been talking a lot about fitness, obviously, more. I won't say materialistic things because it maybe sounds too woo or mystical, materialistic, but about certain values. And I'd like to talk about if you're okay, like just how you see men in general and the average male in our current society, and what these men lack, what they lack, and why so many men, as far as I observe it, aren't very happy. Don't have this true lustful life anymore, which is just a shame. The majority, as far as I observe, of men are sleeping through life and aren't just going all out on this thing.
I like that. Thanks for bringing that one up. I mean, there's a lot of talk out there about the masculinity in our society and how that's not going well. There's even theories that's in the water. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that it's in the water. Like the water we drink, there's some sort of substance in it that makes us more. I don't know anything about that, so I don't want to get into that.
No.
I believe that it's just a matter of where you focus on. I believe that my reality, the men I know and the men that I'm surrounded with, are men like me and you, are men that are go-getting, are the men that are fully in their own masculine energy as well as in their feminine energy, and know how to deal with both sides. Of course, there's still a bit of struggle here and there, and some men might be more in their masculine energy, others might be more in their feminine energy. But I don't believe in the disbalance that is being portrayed on social media and that's being said. I don't believe that men are doomed, or I don't believe that the most men that I know aren't depressed. They are doing as well as I'm doing. So that's my reality. So if I were to speak for myself and not look on what's going on TikTok, I don't think there's anything wrong. What's your perspective on that?
Well, that probably makes me realize something, that I might be in the wrong environment though. Now, obviously, online as well, for sure. I'm seeing a lot of, like right now, like a lot of positive or big men wanting to tell life. Maybe this is more a lesson for me right now, because it's interesting you say that you don't view it in that way whatsoever. I still observe, just a lot of men struggling with addictions, a lot of men struggling with really having no meaning to their life, no purpose whatsoever, just kind of going through the motion day in, day out. There's quite a bit of that still in my reality.
But that's the people that you want to coach, no? That's the people that you want to help. Yeah,
absolutely, for sure.
So then it makes only sense that they appear in your reality. Otherwise, you would literally have no clients.
That's another thing, for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. That's an interesting take, though.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting what you just said about about what you got from what I said. Where in that moment I noticed a little bit of what I just said. The box, just little millimeter that side, where it's like, oh, maybe it's just. This is what I believe. Like, it's not the truth, but if you can take something from it that lands for you, it could literally change your life. And I believe that's what coaching about.
Yeah.
But why did you bring it up? Do you have a message? Do you have anything that you want to share about that?
No, I was just interested in your take.
I
would say I kind of still perceive it that way. And I've perceived that for a long time, and I'm not saying that's correct whatsoever. That's the lens in which I see reality. So I was kind of interested in your take about that.
I like that.
I kind of open my mind a little bit, right? Because I do understand that the way I see the world isn't necessarily the way it is. It's just nothing more than a reflection of the way of all that stuff that's going on in here, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, what you just said there is actually, it expanded my paradigm a little bit, for sure.
I like that. That's fun. I like that you brought it up. Thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
So this podcast, I called it Extraordinary Coaches, because I want to be talking with people like that. What would your definition be of an extraordinary coach or extraordinary personal trainer, if I can label it to your preference? What's your take on it?
Someone that is just able to reflect what the other person needs, like just giving them the right lessons they need for where they are, instead of giving them something that's way beyond their awareness or the thing they need at that moment. So as I said, if you have someone and he just wants to put on muscle, let him put on the freaking muscle. Just let him go through that phase.
Yeah.
Because that's his desire. And he can't desire anything else. Right? It's like something you have to move through that desire. There are only two ways to get rid of a desire: is to manifest it, or to do loads of meditation and to observe the desires, right? And to undo it, everything. Personally, I just find it a lot easier to just do the freaking thing and realize it's not going to make me happy. So, I think that's, as far as I understand about coaching and experience, that's probably the most powerful thing. Just being you. Like, you don't have to do much a lot of times, but just be you and answer the questions. And a lot of times that's more than enough for the certain individual to grow, because you as a person has already probably gone a few steps beyond where they are. So just being you and answering the questions your way, and it's mainly like your energy exchange is more than enough to make that person grow. It's the energy behind everything you do, right? That's why most people want to get into contact with you. If, let's say, you're helping someone and he's at a very low point, you're currently feeling good, you're feeling upbeat, you have a good energy, just that is valuable enough. Just that energy is valuable enough to help someone grow. Because now this person is finally able to climb up to someone else. So, I guess that's it, man.
Talking about goals that people have that they want to achieve for them to then realize that that's not what's going to make them happy. Do you have still one of those goals? Are you currently working on something that you're like, I know that that's not going to bring me the happiness that I desire, yet I kind of want to try it out and see what it's like, and then I'll come to the same conclusion as I always get to?
Oh yeah. Oh, good question, man. It's probably still deep down inside earning a lot of money, right? To tell my father, look, Dad, I've done it. It's not so much to prove people wrong. I've never had that. Like, to prove, no. But there's still this little voice in me that's like, oh, but you're gonna be better if you have this much money. Look at all the people with you, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Deep in my mind, I know it's not gonna do anything. Those things cannot really make you feel whole inside. Yet I do think a very powerful way to indeed just experience it and move through that phase, and just, I would say, pursuing that. If you just pursue that and you think that's going to make you happy, that's still powerful. That's just still a lot of growth, right? It's a lot better than not doing anything. So yeah, it's going to be that. Yet I'm at a point now where I'm also just clearly seeing, like, you know what, it would be nice, but honestly, I'm not like in it to die, you know. That's, I want to earn that amount, all that stuff. Not anymore. A few years ago, definitely. I definitely thought, okay, that will do it for me.
What changed?
Inner work, man. Inner work of that little voice in your head that's saying you're not good enough.
Okay.
That you think you need all those things in order to finally feel good enough. And over the years, that voice came back in different ways. First, it was the body. Then it was, I have to travel this much. Then it was to make this much money. And at a certain point, it just becomes clear that none of those things can actually do anything for you to really fill that gap, that void within yourself, if that's where you're pursuing it from. But I do think if you feel whole inside, if you already feel that wholeness and you see your own wholeness and you pursue money, that's great. Like, it's not a bad pursuit, I think.
But would you still need to pursue it if you are already whole? I don't know.
You do it out of
self-love.
Yeah, you just want to experience that area of life.
Yeah.
Not because it's going to make you fulfilled, but you just want to experience it. Same as traveling. Because if you, like, a real monk or someone that's enlightened might come to the conclusion, and is at the conclusion of, nothing in this world is going to make me happy. Yet that doesn't necessarily mean, actually, a monk will, that he's not going to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
But if you're in that state, instead of doing something from the place of lack, from the place of I need something, you're doing it from the place of I'm feeling so great, I'm feeling whole, and I'm inspired to take this action.
Yeah.
So it becomes inspired action instead of desperate action, right?
There's this analogy that I got reminded of that I use a lot in coaching, and it actually comes from someone that I was coaching, and you've heard of affirmations, right? He was telling me that each morning, he was super proud of it. Each morning he would go stand in front of the mirror and tell himself that he loved himself. That was his affirmation. I love myself. And I asked him, why do you do that? And he replied, because I don't. And it made me laugh, because that's what we're taught with affirmations.
Yeah.
But then I said to him, so each morning that you wake up, the moment you wake up, you step in front of the mirror and you tell yourself, I love myself, because you don't love yourself. So each time you do that, you're affirming the belief that you don't love yourself, because apparently you need to tell it to yourself in order for it to be true. And then I told him, it's better to same as going to the gym. If you go to the gym because you don't love yourself and want to look good, that is the wrong intention to put behind it. But if you go to the gym because you love yourself and you want to look good, then you're going to start seeing better results. And again, that just little changed a lot in him. So that was funny. That reminded me of what you said. I think it's interesting. Do you have any final thing that you want to say to anyone who's listening? Any fitness tip, any motivation, or nothing? That's fine too. So we can round it off on a positive note.
I could say one thing. To, man, just, I don't know, man. It's a tough one. To go within at some point, right? At some point, you have to go within. You can do all the seeking, all the things outside. You can constantly chase the next thing. You can go to the party, socialize, all those things. But the real gifts, they are really gonna come when you're able to go within. You go through all the shit that's within yourself that you have never faced before. And you're gonna come out to the other side realizing, wow, everything was always inside of me. I never really had to look for all those things in the outer world. This is amazing. So guys, at some point, try to go within yourself, because those gifts are really there, waiting for you.
Wow, powerful. Thanks, man. Thanks for having the chat with me. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening, and see you at the next one.